So I just played some poker. So they just registered to rig me to try to steal. No poker player has any government permissions to steal somebody's human attributes. They're restricted. They're not spies. They never were spies. They're fucking rapists that rape me when I eat, when I take a piss. They make my testicles scratch to fucking make me. They're fucking, when I wipe my ass, they're fucking parasites, and using system maneuvers to get them now. And it's going to be even harsher. I'm officially going to be king of the fucking world. There's nowhere, unless you have a fucking rocket ship that can fucking get out of the galaxy, motherfuckers. You're never gonna escape the wrath. I'm gonna fucking, you cheated, man. Your family's gonna, like, if you gambled and cheat, your family's restricted from gambling for 10 generations. And they're gonna know, like, so Phil Ivey's descendants and Daniel Negreanu's descendants are gonna hate that fucking man. Because they're not even going to know you, but they're going to hate you because you're going to be their fucking 10th great grandfather or whatever, and they're not going to give a fuck, or unless I make them a girl. By making them a billionaire, equivalent to a billionaire at that time. Right? Why would you fuck with me when I know you do that shit to people? So never doing that against me, and I'm going to utilize whatever strategies you try to utilize against good people of the world. As king of the world, you kill, and you've done this to good people, and I'm gonna fucking. They say if you kill me, it's you dig 2 graves, right? That's mankind, motherfucker. In my case, so you kill people. You've killed people that you can't kill again. At one point, nice. He had the 2 pair at least. That's kind of unfortunate, but that is poker. If it wasn't rigged. And unfortunately, I'm in a desperate situation now. This is a good time. Every once in a while, you do got to try to steal this hand with any 2 cards if you're playing poker, but not randomly. You got to do it randomly. But like this guy right there, he had us both covered, so he should have went all in that scenario, like with a good rhythm, right? Because he hasn't won in a few hands, so would have seemed like he had a strong hand. I'm going to blues by the river. They're going to check down. Oh, no, they didn't. Eight. No, the 8 didn't come. Woo! It's going to be hard for me to lose now. I'm going to finish in the money, likely, unless I get lucky and they start cheating. If there was a better blind structure game with better blind structure game where you could use skill to maneuver, like in chess, for instance, in high school, it's a game that's heavily luck depending, and I made about $1,000 playing cribbage. Cribbage. They say chess because they can see my brain. So machine intelligence never allowing any human to see my brain because they could skew how I'm perceived to be. So there's consequences for their family for 10 generations. There's taxes for being a dickhead. That's the dickhead tax right now. Until I have a more diplomatic name for it. So Camilla Rice is able to show how the Republicans violate Americans, and she can make some maneuvers politically right now. So I did finish in money as predicted. Sometimes in there you want to fish out the bigger spade. The 3 or the kings coming. God as man wins, just as planned, prophesied in distant lands. Get anybody who withholds my greatness. Tax for 10 generations for your family. They're gonna not. They'll lose half the tax if they lose your family last name. Like after a certain metrics. Like, so if you have a powerful last name like the Kennedys or the Clintons, they're gonna get less tax because they lost the last name and they wanted to forget you. Right, just from stopping my divine providence. If that seems right. Let's see. I don't really care about this right now. So the divine providence, that just kind of came to me. That the sun is beating on my face. So divine providence. They're hacking me there, so I'm just gonna. There we go. That is it. That is it. Well, that just came to me, right? So that spawned to me, motherfuckers, and that was an organic thought. So, yes, I am God incarnate, but I spawned from the universe, right? So that means, if that's the case, and I'm playing that as if that is until, but I won't prove. I won't. It'll be in about 1,000 years, or in a distant time in the future. Anyways, I'm gonna develop an afterlife machine once I'm able to. Somebody that is, by this point, I should know exactly when they should die, and then once they do, I'm gonna be waiting in the afterlife, and ask them if they wanted to live a short period of time, right? Because at that point, I'll know what they everything, right? Their life, and a short period of time, right? It could be a short period of time is relative, right? Forever, right? It could be 1 trillion years or whatever, right? But a period of time. Well, the first time it's gonna be very few seconds. It's gonna be like maybe a minute or so, or of absolutely pain-free, and then a clarification of life and having that epiphany realization, and then yes, I want to experience heaven ideally for the rest of existence, or choose reincarnation at some point, right? Like that's the whole thing about heaven. You get to you were good, so you get to decide, right? Because unfortunately, heaven is like it's paradise, forever summer, right, for you. But if you're an adventurer like my DNA is, you kind of want a 4-season planet where you want to experience life, right? And right now I don't like. Last winter was the best winter I ever had in Canada, right? And this winter should be a good winter. Like I was in Northern Ontario. The winters are brutal if you don't enjoy winter sports. If you enjoy winter sports, then you want to live there. You want to live there. If you're into hockey, snow machining, skiing, and ice fishing, and things like that, then it's paradise. It is paradise for you, right? Like it's absolutely like Lake Superior. If you're in Ontario, and like it would be, if you had the money, it would be flying in. Particularly if you kind of might not, you could still probably do it now. Like if I posted this video, and for the people that are secretly watching, but it would be flying to Sault Ste. Marie and then driving to Thunder Bay like really, and then flying away. So even if you're getting a chauffeur, driving, doing your thing, taking the pictures, like, because Old Woman's Bay will be picturesque, looking towards the water. Like the rocks are hard on your feet, so the rocks are done. They're going to be softer rocks, like it's going to be sand, going to be imported sand from because fish don't really, as long as the fish water down, I'm not quite sure, as long as the fish aren't burrowing into the sand to live, then it's not part of the ecosystem. So we could utilize it by dredging it for mankind and augment and making more beaches, basically. make more beaches and more fun, right? They're restricting. The only thing I can't provide for these people is rape and murder and felonies and extortion and things like that. Video games I can, and then but the goal for AI, they tried to shut down that AI program though. That goal for AI is for teleportation through satellite across the street. Once, and then, that was nice. This site is pretty. It does give you four of a kinds too often. I've gotten quite a few four of a kinds. I'll just show you. It is rigged. It's not real math. I could tell just from my playing experience. It's a play money one though, but so let's see, how many hands have I played? So I raised 30%. I win 26% of the time right now. So I've been at 2 national tournaments and I won the first one and rigged to lose the second one. And let's see, I'll take a screenshot for the rig. And never getting rid of that. There's no dimmer switch for that. And no resetting the game alive. That's the dimmer switch getting fucking millions of those people. So let's see, 19 out of 46, bullshit in regional. 11 out of, what the fuck, it doesn't even add up. It doesn't even add up. The only thing that they're allowing me to win is city and town. But national, 2, and I won 1. But they're like, yeah, no, he can't win at the county level, state level, regional. But once he's in the national level, he fucking rises to the fucking occasion. And it's funny because I'm going to seek asylum in Macau. And I'm going to try out the casino, and I'm going to know as soon as I go on the property if it's rigged or not, right? And then I may walk right out, but I'd still be in Macau because there's going to be lights and sounds and nightlife, basically. And but I would be at that point where ideally it's going to China and as monarch and a social republic, kind of, and then Taiwan, right? Unify in China and Taiwan and peacefully and then basically dissecting the industry, work ethic, how much automation and people, and for both economies, and then coming up with a cohesive system, so strategically taking the best of both systems and then implementing that through the United China, basically, and then basically, there's the car company, there's the phone company, and then they probably need me for some technology. So here, I'm gonna play some more poker I'll play at a harder level. There's no rig, there's no dimmer switch in the system. It's been around for 2,000 years. There's when the Cook descendant figured out the system, it's no parasites that don't have anywhere the concentration of my blood hinder my ascension to all my thrones. So I'm gonna jam. I don't normally jam, so I'm gonna get a weak call hopefully. And if you're this guy right here, you or a girl, you want to take slow call if you have a strong hand sometimes. You know, now that I'm telling you, I'm not always gonna have a strong hand. I'm the master, right? If you're the student, so I'm always gonna utilize information I give you at poker against you. Because as a challenge, I want to get rich off poker because I need to get poker to need to be famous. I wanted to be rich and anonymous, but I need to be famous to advocate for privacy of thought. So www.change.org/technology and privatize my mind. And he has the king. He had the king for sure with that bet. He had the king. It was the fact he had the king, he didn't have raised, right? He wasn't strong enough to raise. But at the same time, usually when I make that bet, I'm ready to punch you in the mouth if you raise. So I just thought of a cool trick I'm going to do for, because basically right now I'm trying to get machine intelligence. I'm making a movie with machine intelligence where I do these cool things, these unique do these cool human tricks, right? And as a person, right? But that being said, so I'm slowly making a movie, and once I'm king of the world, it's gonna be over, say about, could be sooner, but I don't wanna, it's probably gonna be about 10 years. That's why it's mainly gonna be there's gonna be directors, directors at times, you know, like as a consultant basis, like for maybe specific elements of the movie. And for the director's cut would be all the directors throughout the 10 years. I'm saying it probably a 10-year period, right? And I'm just going to come up with a bunch of cool different, to make a series and become a superhero, I guess, right? Because I'm a real life superhero, so I'm going to exemplify that on film. Because I could do the poker move like in that James Bond movie. I could put the guy on a straight flush based on skill. And when unrestricted after 1,000 rounds of any gun, less than that, but guaranteed of money for $1 million with an AI non-rigged device. I mean, I'm not gimmicked or hacked anyway, but non-hacked, non-rigged. If I could see it anyways, if they flipped a coin, because men used to be good enough that they could if they flipped a coin, they could shoot it out of the air with a 6-barrel, pistol, right? So with 1,000 rounds, any gun, I guarantee you I could do that. Guarantee. It would be way less than 1,000, but guaranteed. Like unrestricted, like once machine intelligence, because I could make, like say, a 4-inch structure in your brain, Like certain elements I could make refined down to a surgical needle in my brain. That's why I was rigged to lose the $40 or the 40 million, not $40, the 40 million play chip tournament. Because penis envy. And there's the generational tax. People are going to be taxed for 10 generations. And I'm needed forever because evolution 3 can't happen if I die. So I'm more important than every single human on the planet. And unfortunately, as humble as I am to say, as a person, I would never want to say that. But from a scientific perspective, they have to route the entire world's economy to hinder my biology. That little hindrance in that word I said is enough to make millions of people obsolete, useless, intellectually inept, diminished. I can't wait for the penis envy tax. It's going to be 10 generations. Because they raise these boys without subliminal, right? Like boys that don't see in the subliminal and girls that don't see in the subliminal should see superheroes as non-sexual people. Don't get me wrong, like Wonder Woman did show cleavage and whatnot, and that's what I thought women looked like, were sexy when I was an adult, but I'm a fucking kid when I'm watching Wonder Woman. I'm not hoping she's coming to my fucking dreams and raping me. Like, when I sang Like a Virgin, I hope Madonna didn't rape me. And I could tell by the reaction through my physical biology that she did. It's just how many times, how much money. One, I own her catalog. I own the world, right? It's revealing who all sucks. It sucks because I can't think about artists without them thinking they could violate my thoughts. Right, so I don't sing shit. I start writing songs. I'll show you right after this tournament. Maybe I'll go with the fun one first. The fun, and then what I'm feeling. Kind of, if I feel animosity, then I'm gonna go for certain songs. So this song, this hand right here, you're now it's time to fold, because typically with the raise that the fourth place guy made, they usually have the straight or the flush draw. Now there's a royal flush. Interesting. He hesitated, but unfortunately he didn't have enough chips. Let's see what he has. He could have bullshit. So sure, he made a good play, but I made a better fold, right? Like, I would have had to get lucky. I was out kicked, and you have to make the fold long term, especially when there's another person to react in the plot, right? Because that player sucked. If they're a good player, they suck as a player if they're making decisions like that. Like, they did get me to fold, but the long term, that's the right decision to make. Like, at least 90% of the time I probably would have made that fold, but now I have to fluctuate. Like, it's going to be less often because of the rig, right? But I'm now aware that that's a loophole that they're going to try to exploit, so I'm going to be it all depends on like, these people hide behind fucking avatars, right? Like, you know, and as do I, since I'm restricted to play online, and casinos rip me off, so I don't trust casinos. I'd rather be at casinos because there's more psychological variables I could utilize against my opponents, would make me even better, right? So but like, you should be able to. I'm not streaming right now, and I'm restrict streaming when I'm poker. I'm talking to the app that I'm using to record. That's it. So you never really want to chase the straight when there's a 4 of a kind board. The 4 of a kind happens lots on this site, right? But usually it's the full house. Usually I mention the full house first, even though it's always, when there's a paired board, it's always a 4 of a kind. Humans can't switch and pretend to be machines. Humans aren't machines. Just real cars, robotics, and industry, right? It's that they cost the industry a lot of money. That's human saboteurs, but I'm gonna end up with a big piece of pie, so it doesn't matter how big the pie is, but I'm gonna get the skim. I'm sleeping in a fucking shelter tonight, right? So eventually I'm gonna be rich. So this sucks. They didn't show any aggression, which is because they're all aware of me. All my opponents are always aware of me because they never make any poker moves. They all are hesitant, and so here's a royal flush board. So I did try to slow play a royal flush. I don't advise ever doing it because I checked 2 streets and he didn't take the bait, so they were cheating. But it was I know they were cheating now, but I still misplayed it because I was hoping to trap, obviously, when I checked on the river, and they just didn't take the bait, right? They could have not had a good enough hand or what have you, right? Because ideally, when you get a royal flush, you want your opponent to have a straight flush, 4 of a kind, full house, flush, straight. At least those 3 of a kind. You don't want them to have high card. You don't want them to have 7 deuce, right? That's the worst case scenario. Never rigging it for me, or only for only people that rip me off that have a high cheat tax. And time travel hasn't happened, and again, the ones that don't know, there's no 10 generations. Their time travel hasn't happened. The narrative for 10 generations is only a few minutes ago, so people aren't out of the clink yet ever. They're restricted for life for real transactions. They have a good credit score officially, but if they have a cheat tax in the system, they're rapists. They're not getting them. I had a good credit score, and they denied me from being able to buy a fucking. I had a 2012 Mercedes-Benz in it was 2010 Mercedes-Benz that I bought in 2012, and then at a penis envy I sold it in, I forget what year, I think it was 2014, and I just happened to hear that Toyota had a sale on. I was disappointed because Volkswagen had a sale that I would have went and got instead, but I wasn't aware of it, and I didn't return. I didn't know I could probably return it, or if it was during the time. But if I would have seen Volkswagen, because my brother had a Passat, so I probably would have tried to get a Passat or the Jetta, basically. And I drove a Volkswagen Touareg, and I felt like a fucking tiger on driving it, right? For aggressive defensive maneuvers, basically. Situations where you may need to evade an animal, basically, or a pothole, right? One that you catch that's gonna wreck your suspension and what have you, and cost you monetary damage. You need to be able to, as long as there's no traffic around you and all that, right? You're paying attention to your surroundings, but you need to move out of the way. You need to move. If not, it's like taking a speed bump. If you're going 60 and then you're taking a speed bump, that's going to cost you real money if you do it all the time. The way I drove my cars, out of all the cars I've had, I did very little brake jobs, because if I seeing traffic flow in that there was going to be a red light, I took my foot off the gas and coasted. Why am I racing to the light, wasting fuel to race to the light and then to wait? And if it was standard, I'd never use my brakes. I'd gear down. If I might use my brakes on the highway or whatever for unpredicted. So that being said, if you use your brakes on the highway, and it's one thing to use your brakes to tap them in, like you're slowing down. But if you're stopping and you don't want to get rear-ended, put on your hazard lights. Because if you see somebody with their brake lights on and then hazard lights, so cars would have to be designed to override human error and make it so if they're trying to stop by putting pressure to stop, then the hazard lights would from behind anyways, would go on and indicating that they were stopping, and then so the car behind them knows they have to come to a stop, right? Because I came up with similar technology, but 20 years ago on an interview for a jack job, like a hydraulic jack job, and I was denied. I didn't get the interview because I mentioned this in the interview, the innovation basically. She thought I had too much talent for the job, basically. So anyways, then I emailed companies I'm not even American, but I consider them domestic American companies, and then I emailed Toyota and basically a light that would indicate how much pressure you were putting on, like to know if you're putting full pressure to stop, like an emergency stop, like fucking 90 to 0 scenarios, or slowly stopping, or I'm just taking my cruise control off, stop, or brake, not stop. I'm just taking my cruise control off, brake, and like with a good cruise control with if you want to save fuel economy, as long as the roads aren't slippery and you're an attentive driver, right? Like they do have adaptive cruise control, but it is using cruise control to prevent muscle fatigue in your legs and what have you, right? But it is trying to stop when you're racing on the highway. You always have to assume you got to respect the road, you got to respect life, and you could die, and they basically, you got to go on the highway, assume that you could die, and that life is precious, and more or less, and don't be in a hurry to die. Don't be in a hurry to die, because like you see people, right? Like I drove back I'm gonna prove that it was a weather machine, but they made me drive in a whiteout for like over 1,000 kilometers, right? So I seen over, I believe it was 12 cars off the road, right? And I think I had some sort of equipment on for my son, and I was wearing the equipment, like a helmet and whatever, right? Just to make steady progress, because I didn't have enough for a hotel, and there's a whiteout, right? I can't pull off. I had a white car, I couldn't pull off on the side of the road and get destroyed. The Canadian government tried to kill me. Then they knew my in the mountains, they knew my driving pattern, and they tried to slingshot me into a dump truck with a plow on the front of it. And that spit is criminal metadata of all the terror. In America, they were kind enough to make one of my wheels come off going 80 miles an hour outside of Los Angeles on a freeway. And I'm gonna be king of the world, right? So I'm pretty sure America's part of the world. Culpability. And you know what? The funny thing is, America doesn't have feelings. You know who has feelings? People. right? So that being said, I love America. I love American culture, right? That's why I've been to like 30 states and over 30 states, almost every. I haven't been to Texas, unfortunately. Haven't been to New Orleans, and I've been to Georgia, Myrtle Beach, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, Indianapolis 500, Stanley Cup Finals Game 2 in Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Haven't been to Boston, up that Martha's Vineyard or up that part of the coast, and haven't been up the west coast to Oregon, Washington, and unfortunately I was hoping to live in Vancouver, so I would have spent a lot of time. They had a baseball team, right, and a football team in Vancouver, in Seattle, so I would have spent a lot of time in Seattle. I would have had Seattle Seahawks tickets, right? Because I lived in Sioux, Ontario. There's a Sioux, Michigan. I lived in Niagara Falls, Ontario. There's Niagara Falls, New York. And I'm now in Windsor, Ontario, and there's Detroit, Michigan, right? So clearly I like America. And I lived in Vancouver, where there was Seattle, basically. So that being said, I do want to see China so bad, because recently on my Facebook, I've been seeing a lot of their infrastructure projects, and it is phenomenal, right? Like, I've seen a lot. Didn't see the Hoover Dam, unfortunately, but like there's or the Grand Canyon. So I haven't been to Arizona. I believe it's in Arizona. Or Old Faithful. Haven't seen Old Faithful. Seen, unfortunately, America's entertainment industry is superior to Canada's, right? Because they have Hollywood and New York, right? And Chicago a bit, like Chicago. I've been to Chicago lots. I love Chicago. It's a great city to go to, because I believe you only have to worry about parking, and you could do enough free entertainment, and then to save a little bit of time, right? When you travel long distances, you're paying for gas and all that stuff, right? And people are on a budget, right? So cities need to offer some free entertainment, so then they can save up for the best attractions that they personally want, right? Like, really, I haven't had the money, but every single city I went to, I'd want a helicopter tour of the skyline, basically. The most scenic view of the city, and then a comedy club, at least, and then if I planned on going out for a nightlife, I like cannabis. So in Canada, well, throughout the world, there's going to be different, like, cannabis is going to be legal because it's a natural pain reliever, and it's herbal. It's been chosen by God. It's like corn. It comes out of the ground, whereas alcohol requires fermentation, analyzers, and chemicals and rectifiers and what have you, right? So what do you think God chooses the most, right? But I do like the effects of alcohol as well, but I don't like the physical impairment, right? So that's why, I don't know if I mentioned in this video, but in bars, there's going to be, like, that have the space, there's going to be like an octagon, right, where you can kind of, well, I guess you're going to be able to challenge people, but you would have to have below the typical blood alcohol rating for what's reasonable throughout the world. Like, I don't really drink alcohol now, but it's not that I won't ever will again, right? But like, at the same time, when I drink a certain amount of alcohol, I'm not a physical instrument like I am when I smoke cannabis. Like, when I made a disclaimer that if I seek asylum in China, I'd win unrestricted, without any hacks. I'd win Olympic gold with very little effort, and then my son could, if he wants to crush the record the following Olympics, then that'd be great, because I should have won Olympic gold and did some things before he was born, and then he would have came along, and if he wanted to beat them, he would have had that chance, but I was denied that opportunity to be the most decorated Olympian ever. Why would I went for the decathlete? High jump, hurdles, sprinting, 100, 200, 400, and then maybe the 400 relay and in gymnastics. So I guess I would have been the most decorated ever. But those would have been my passion in sports. Right? I like volleyball. because you could dive and dig it out. Like, unfortunately, wouldn't play on a volleyball team because they kind of, you play the position, right? Like, I liked it in elementary school where you rotated and you had to play different positions. But with like, even in grade 8, I was able to put some awesome curve on a volleyball, and where it was too powerful for the size of the gym, and one opponent even complimented me, not from serving, but he complimented me that I played well, or see, I forget what he said, but it was flattering anyways when your opponent. It was the first time my opponent complimented me, teammates complimented me on plays, but not an opponent. And when that first time I played baseball, hardball, I tried out for the rep team at 15, and I made the team, and but it was $2,000, and my parents, they kept us poor, so I didn't even tell my dad. I just said, hey, sign me up for house league, which was $60, and then I got called up at least 3 times to play against 21-year-olds, but they didn't tell me, they didn't present it in a way that say, hey, this could possibly be a post-secondary education or a pro opportunity. If they would have said that, I would have tried out. I thought there was a league when I was 16 years old. Then I would have I wanted to play 1 year under my belt, and then I would have tried against older opponents, because my dad raised me to play against bigger, better, faster, right? And so that being said, I naturally wanted to, but I just wanted to gain some experience first, some confidence, and then grow and build on that confidence, basically. Build on those successes, right? So let's see, I don't think they have the 6 or whatever, so. That's the psychology in poker. They're going to jam out of frustration, typically. I don't have anything to call, but that was a nice jam. Usually I'm ready to punch them in the mouth with something when they jam there. Now they should jam. No, it's my turn. There's no cheating, seeing my cards, what I did. I don't want to call, but I think he's making a move. It's chop pot, or he wins usually. Every time I have them out kicked on the site, they almost always chop pot or win. It's free. And all they do is, like, I'm going to be the most influential person that ever lived, because Jesus and Muhammad and Moses aren't alive. So that being said, everybody, whatever I say, people have to understand there's going to be billions of people that are devouring everything I say. So if I'm talking poorly about an industry, then it only hinders that industry for indefinitely until I publicly change how I feel about it. But like, I would feel like I'd get ripped off if I went to Vegas. Why the fuck would I hop on a plane to get ripped off when they ripped me off in Niagara Falls, Ontario at the casino? They ripped me off playing poker online, right? And it's the same criminal network, right? If I go to Macau, they're gonna rip me off there, right? I gotta sue my landlord and probably gonna own his house, right? And then sell the house, right? And then say in our Canada, right? But I'm gonna be playing the stock exchange, so I don't need to know a single thing about the Chinese economy. I know numbers. I just know how to dissect numbers, and I'm a mathlete. I just happen to be an athlete first. But when I was in school, there was a poster that in math class that there was 7 cars, and they were really fancy cars. And you got to understand, the cars that my family had, until we started doing the consignment chocolate bar business for charities, my family, I was a little salesman selling in different cities at like, I don't even know how old I was now, like either 8 or 10. But I did it for a couple years, basically every weekend. And just kind of sleep in the car, wake up in a different city. My parents trusted me enough to You'd be unattended and sell chocolate bars for hours with count money, give change. And hopefully some real predators died. Jack 4, here comes the 4 or something. But the blind structure is too fast on this site. You have to get too desperate. I'm going to do the most prudent thing because I could see 2 hands now. And unfortunately that sucks, so I'm going to jam with this. I don't like to, but because they always call, right? It was so cheap for them to call. They're kind of a bad player if they don't call, really. Because it was only it was only 2K and it didn't really hurt their stack. It didn't put them in a desperate situation. So you always, as defensively, you almost always have to call. Knowing that you're likely to lose sometimes, even with your whatever you have, but without the rig, like you do have to call sometimes. If you rig and cheat. So I was trying to fish out a big hand, and there's a lot of action. This guy so far. Well, let's see, what does this guy do? What does this guy do now that he opened? He's all in. So this is interesting hand. I'm hoping to see some poker magic here. A little desperation that there's 3 callers or 2 callers, 3 callers now. So. That was poor play. The only one that made a semi-decent call if they had this guy on an ace blah hand like ace king or ace 5. Right, that was the semi-decent hand. The other players suck. They're rich. The other players have to be rich, and they rely on rigs because they suck making those plays. Mathematically, long term, I'm gonna eviscerate you just because you suck. When there's no rigs, you don't make mathematical decisions anymore. You require fucking technology. So when you hit your fucking second pair, I always have the higher 2 pair. Like this person, then again, who knows what they have? Like if they were the same people, like just say one of the weaker opponents won, and I won that hand that I just won the hand before. Without the rig, it's guaranteed that I'd beat the opponent. Unless they got lucky. They're just not that. Like, see, this opponent's different, right? Like, that's a good way to pressure the pot, right? I have to fold right now. Like, unless there's a rig. But there was 7K in the pot. They made an 11K bet, which pressured me enough, right? And the blinds are low, so I could take it slow. But, I don't have to get desperate, right? So he's likely to raise at this point, so I'm going to fold. I'm going to save the 200 chips. Start a war, right? You fight when you want to fight. And that started a war showing your bluff to now manipulate them, right, in poker. Now they're aware Barrett Greenstein's trying to cheat and play. He's a weak player, but he did make one move. But if you use the software mod, then it's not that good. He's like, well, I've only been secretly watching for fucking 6 years. Or however long he's been watching me play every hand, and then at some point I'm watching, and then maybe not every hand, but enough hands and I haven't officially played against the man in person, right? I'd fucking destroy him. Heads up, any one of these pros. Once I'm rich, I challenge you $1 million. Fucking best of. Well, they're supposed to be pros, so I'll give them credit. 4 out of 7 Stanley Cup Finals type fucking. You know, I love the Super Bowl, but unfortunately, in the future, I'd rather get rid of fucking two preseason games and have best of 3 Super Bowl. You know, I do love the element of you have to rise to the occasion for one game pressure, though. But ideally, it would always come down to 3 games without the rig, right? Like without the rig, like, you know, because they're the 2 best teams in each conference. And so ideally there's a loss, then there's the chance to the coaches that learn and grow and rebound from that and then motivate their team, and then ideally they win, and then whoever shows up any given Sunday at that point, right? Like, and that would be, as a fan, because like I'm Canadian, right? So my favorite sport to my heart is hockey, but I love American football because it's chess and there's more plays, right? You could run formations, and you could call, like Peyton Manning used to run audibles at the line like a wizard, right? I don't know. I think he was cheating, but everybody was cheating, right? So most people were, right? So I did love that. Like, and unfortunately, Tom Brady was manufactured for his career more, but through the hype that I had in my mind. But he was, because I did call him Tom Gravy, right? So in the system, he manipulated that, so getting all the networks. But I did love, you know, so if I did play football, I would want to play. I have the energy to play the whole game, basically. So I would want to play quarterback and middle linebacker, basically. I'd want to get the most fumbles, tackles, and interceptions as a middle linebacker ever. Like, run the defense and run the formation and stuff them down and always cover their flank, right? When you're pursuing. So that being said, so for strategy for NFL football, American football, is getting the big guys to not gas themselves out in plays that they have no chance. But it's one thing, like, so coaching them to find out the sweet spot where they need to get defensive posture should the ball change. Like, because like if a defensive lineman is like several strides, like 4 strides behind a wide receiver, there's no way without mods he's ever catching them unless there's some sort of fluke, some sort of unless the ball changes directions, right? So that being said, like, there's going to be some plays where you want your players to try hard, but there's plays where with that type of mentality, they're wasting energies on plays they have 0 chance of completing, and when they could have utilized energy reserves later on in the game where they have chances to win, right, in championship moments and stuff like that, right? You know, so that being said, they nice, they had 2 pair, but that being said, they because I mentioned it earlier, so they're utilizing against me again, right? So every time, all my poker videos under Christian Meyer, you'll notice that theme. When I mention something in the video, they try to use artificial intelligence and software to manipulate that scenario to occur. I made 159 videos. You just have to jump to any video and watch the entire video, jump to any random other video, watch about 10 videos. You'll see I'm a really good poker player, and I always get unlucky. Or the video ends with me with lots of money. Or putting a guy on a straight flush. And then making 50 videos after that. You know, every video mentioning them looking for sponsorship. And so doing that and then not getting sponsored after making 50 videos. Because the penis envy and nobody shares my shit. You know, I posted like a 2-minute version on YouTube. There was like 10 views, 0 shares, 0 likes. They're trying to pretend that there is. They pretend that I'm rich to the machine intelligence. for machine intelligence, needs to understand I need natural human aptitude and abilities. It was what I was going to say. So they hacked me there. So getting those people, but so natural attributes and the best natural attributes, and then with the most divine blood at that point as a secondary criteria, or just to appease people, because too much divine blood causes interbreeding and malignancy. So it's a happy medium, right? And since I have the most divine blood on the planet, the last thing I want is for everybody to look like me, like especially women. I don't want to date you if you look like me. But at the same time, I'm possibly in the distant future, I'm going to clone, once it's safe to do so, I'm going to clone my biology in female form and mate with her, and then just have I'm not going to do it, but ideally one girl and one boy would be fantastic if it worked out that way. If I had exactly one girl, one boy, and then because they would have exactly, and then it would just be free will after that, whatever kids they wanted. And but by this point in the future, there is going to be a hierarchy system, and where there's always patronage to your father and your grandfather, as long as they're not a prick and they didn't violate certain criteria for the family, basically. Like some of the power, hunger, tax, right? But the disclaimer is, I want you to be ambitious and try hard, but not to crush, lead. Like, not to crush. You want to lead. It's like you're born to be a leader kind of person. Then you're going to be a CEO. Like, basically, if you're born to be a leader, you naturally lead, and people gravitate, without mods, gravitate towards you for advice, like I do to these people. And so if you're like, I'm an innovator at heart, right? But it just turns out I'm not a natural leader. But like the favorite game that I like the most in getting Will is Civilization. This guy, this predator, he was just paying attention because he could see my thoughts. So his entire family's restricted for 10 generations, right? They don't realize, like, I own everything. So I'm going to make it so you can't even buy scratch tickets, because if your spouse or somebody buys you a scratch ticket, they're going to get taxed. So nobody's going to do it. You're not going to be able to use my apps, the App Store. You're not even going to see these apps on your phone. Right? You like to gamble, man. You rip me off. You're not going to be able to do anything fun. You won't even be able to. And if you go to prison, you're going to be going to a different fucking part of the world where nobody knows your fucking name, and you get a fresh start. But if you fuck up, then like 3 strikes, you're out. Like you're hazardous to mankind at that point. Because baseball, I love that. So that being said, I'm a champion, right? My grandfather lied about his age to fight in a war, and 7% of the men survived his position, right? He killed an enemy with his own weapon, right? And I have evolutionary attributes. If he would have died, evolution wouldn't have happened, right? So I come from the strongest warrior king line that ever fucking lived, motherfuckers. And if I don't have the right amount of bass in my voice, then it's emasculation, penis envy tax for people that walk nearby me. Because women, like, I'll just show you right here. I can't see. Oh, too bad the car is in the way. But there's a woman that was she's plus size and an unlikely contender to get a king. Like I do have plus size women in my family that are beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but naturally I like athletic women. I have evolution, right? So they're pissed off. They're like, oh, he doesn't like my psyche when I rape his fucking mind. And it's like, well, no, because my evolution sees healthy. I want healthy genes. Like, I have that primal gene to drive to be like athletic. I see athletes in survivability for mankind. Like with obesity, I see malignancy, cardiac health issues, and right.